All right. So yesterday we went over. No, that's not right. Yesterday we went over causes of earthquakes. So we did our lecture through this section. We talked about how earthquakes are related to plate boundaries and how your plates are interacting with each other. So if I have two plates smashing together, if I have two plates sliding next to one another, that's going to build up pressure that can eventually lead to my earthquake. So today I have the reading assigned, and then we have a constructed response assigned. You've got 3 questions. Each question has multiple bullet points. So there's actually going to be a lot of stuff that you got to kind of hunt down and find for these questions. But it should all be in the reading. You should be able to find it pretty easily, either in the reading or through a quick Google search. But just to go over these, number 1, earthquakes occur most frequently along plate tectonic boundaries. What causes earthquakes at convergent boundaries? What causes earthquakes at transform boundaries? How do faults cause earthquakes? This is probably going to be on number 1, or page number 1 here. So if you click on the reading, it will start you on page 1. They talk a little bit about convergent boundaries and what causes earthquakes here. They talk a little bit about transform boundaries and what causes earthquakes there. If you scroll down a little bit, they talk about pressure and the fault. So they specifically ask about a fault. You'll find your answer for the fault right here in this paragraph. And then let's look at the second question. There are 4 types of faults: normal, reverse, thrust, and strike slip. Describe the relative motion of the fault blocks at each fault and explain the difference between reverse faults and thrust faults. So for this, it'll be on the next page. If you click on page number 2, and it goes to page number 2, it will be right here. They start at the top talking about faults. If you scroll down a little bit more, they talk about normal faults, reverse faults, thrust faults, and strike slip faults, which is basically the same as transform. For this one, because I don't know that they'll tell you right off the bat, I'll turn the lights on. The difference between a reverse fault and a thrust fault is just the angle. They're both going to be compression. Let me use this. So on a reverse fault, I spelled that right. You have compression, so it's going to be squeezed together. And I have 2 blocks. And yes, this one is going to come up compared to that one. So this block is coming up. This block is going down. So this is your foot wall, because it looks like a foot, and this is your hanging wall. So this is a reverse fault. A thrust fault will look exactly the same, but this angle right here will be more flat. So in a thrust fault, let me draw this. You have that same setup where they're being squished together, except your block is going to have more of an angle to it. I don't know if I did that right, but close enough. So it's all about the angle there. I guess that's not very much of an angle difference. Yeah. There we go. I guess. But you get it. The angle is what's different between the reverse fault and a thrust fault. So that should be the second question. And then you go back to the third question and ask about stress and strain. Both stress and strain happen in the Earth's crust. What is stress? What is strain? What occurs when stress that is accumulated along the fault is suddenly released? That's going to be your earthquake. How does elastic rebound happen? Remember, elastic rebound is the idea that when I bend something, I'm putting the stress and strain into it. Once that stress and strain is released, it should go back to straight. It's not going to stay curved. That's the elastic rebound theory. It will bounce back to take the same shape that it used to be. And then give an example of a type of strain that can be caused by compressional stress. And so all of that should be on the third page, I believe. We go to the third page. They will talk about elastic rebound theory. They will talk about stress and strain, I assume on the last one. Yeah, stress and strain here. And they talk about compressional stress, which is that last question. Squeezing stuff together. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Work through it. Try to answer it the best that you can. And tomorrow we will do the multiple choice assignment over this section. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I don't know that there's really anybody at home, but if you need to, send me an email and I can answer your questions over email. And yeah, nice. Wonderful. Have a nice day.